Welcome back to the shop. It has been weeks of sanding and prepping, but it's finally time to get some paint on the boat. So let's get started. Got everything primed and sanded in the last video. Paint showed up yesterday, so we're ready to get this on. Going with the Alexseal rolling kit, as I've mentioned in previous videos. Have the 501 top coat and a custom color that Russ down at Boat Crafters mixed up for me. Their top coat converter, the top coat reducer, the brush additive, the roll additive, I should say, and a little quart of the Matterhorn white for the console that we're going to do later on. First thing we want to do is just get the big clumps of dust off the boat and debris. And for that, we're just using a Scotch-Brite pad, fine grit, a little bit of water. Try not to totally soak everything, but just get it off. Joy of having a shop here is I can hose everything down and it drains right out the door. Very If you do drop your pad, scrub it off good because you don't want to pick up any chunks of anything off the ground. It's going to grind into your primer. It's also going to start to give you an idea what it's going to look like once it's all shiny. And the real obvious imperfections are going to pop out pretty quick here. Don't need a lot of force here. You're not pressing hard. You're not trying to smooth the surface, do anything like that at this point. You're just trying to use the pad to kind of pick up anything that may be on there and get it off. All right, there's a fan down there. Let's start blowing that out of here and drying up. And as long as we got water sheeting off nice and even like this, no big, no real obvious spots that are glossy or, holding water or whatever. Oh man, I think it's gonna look good. Gives you a little idea what we're about to run into. All right, give you a little idea of what I'm doing here. I am taking my rags here, soaking it in solvent, and I bought a box of like 200 rags at a time. So anyways, I'm doing folding them in quarters, soaking them down real good, going over the first time, and you're going to want to see some, well, not want to, but you are going to see some material on it here. Then I'm flipping the rag, going back over the same stuff. This point, you might still see a little bit of discoloration from the primer coming off, or the dust, primer dust, I should say. Fold the rag over the other way, go over the third time. At this point, you should not be seeing much of anything on here. Should be clean at this point. And then the final clean side of your rag here, just for good measure. And these boxes of rags are cheap. So after that, I throw them away. I grab another one and oops, so take a quick look down it and just make sure you don't see anything on there. You know, fingerprints or smudges or anything. It should be good. Also heard you just want to go left to right, not up and down. I don't know the logic behind that. Doesn't hurt to do it. And just work in manageable sections, 2-3 feet at a time. You don't want to be going over half the boat in one wipe and you forget where you were and you either missed something or you're just spending extra time wiping it all 4 times over and over again. I guess it wouldn't be the end of the world if it's extra clean, but eventually I want to start painting this thing. Also, good time if you've got holes or drains or anything, and there's a little bit of water sitting in them from when you washed the boat out earlier. Couldn't get that now because it won't drip now, but it'll drip as soon as you put paint on it, guaranteed. Well, it's about go time. Getting everything set up here. Got your mixing cups, all the stuff there. A couple tray liners, some tape over the roller cover to get the fuzz off of it. I'm sure everybody's seen that trick. Going with the Red Tree mohair rollers. Did go over the boat again, same thing. Same process with the wipes with some denatured alcohol just to get the last little bits of it off. So last time you're gonna see a white boat in this shop, at least for a little while. I think we're ready. Wiped it until I can't see anything on it. It is clean. I'm gonna tack rag it real quick after I mix up the stuff. Got some fans sucking the air out. Got my little bug light going over there just in case any critters come in. For being August in Florida, the weather's cooperating about as good as it can. We're mid to upper 80s, which is high range for this paint, but it's cooling off. Not a cloud in the sky right now. All the storms moved inland. The humidity's actually down just a touch. Let's go. All right, the moment some of you have probably been waiting for. Show y'all what color we're dealing with here. It's a custom mixed color from Russ down at Boat Crafters. There we go. Had this on an older boat and fell in love with it. So this will be the second boat with this color, which will remain nameless for now. All right, time to start mixing. I am going with about 24 ounces total. I believe it was 12 ounces of the paint and 6 ounces of the converter and 8 cc's of the rolling additive. Those were all mixed together and then inducted for their 15 minutes. And after that was done, I added the 6 ounces of the reducer and gave that a good stir for a minute or so, just to make sure everything was mixed up nice. This may be a little much for this first coat. Guess we'll find out. We have a lot of boat to paint here, so maybe it won't be. And once you're sure everything is mixed up well, grab one of these little strainers. You can get these on Amazon or pretty much anywhere. And make sure you strain the paint through it just to pick anything out that may have fallen in there, even though you keep them covered. You never know what's going to get in there. This was the cup that I had my converter in that I dumped into the other cup and then filtered and strained and dumped back. So I'm going to stir it one more time just to make sure it's all mixed up good. Had 2 liners on there to keep the dust out of one. A couple fuzzies coming off of this, not too many at all. There goes nothing. Load up the roller. I'm going to try and get a good amount off. Don't want to start this super heavy. I'm going to roll most of it out. We're just going to start right where the motor's going to be. So if we screw it up, well, then it's not a big deal. Get a little more on there. Coming back on the next one, I'll start over a little bit, work back towards my starting point, so we don't try and overload too much paint there. Well, that took a little longer than I thought. Probably at least an hour of rolling. It took a lot less material than I thought. I probably got, I don't know, a good 6 ounces left in there. So know that for next time. We need about 18 ounces to do that. And yep, right then my microphone battery decided it was going to die, and I didn't realize it for probably 2 hours when I was reviewing some of these clips. Anyways, yeah, what I was saying, I needed about 18 ounces to coat the whole boat versus the 24 that I had mixed up. So a little waste on that first go round, but live and learn, not the end of the world. Yeah, looking over it, I was impressed. My main first impression was how well the hide was on that first coat. I was definitely expecting to see, some white primer showing, coming through, and there was almost none. So happy so far. All right, it's next morning. I mean, overall, just wow. Not too bad for one coat of paint. So it's only been about 12 hours. It's early. Go ahead and roll a second coat on real quick. And then walk away. So there's a fine line between showing you guys how I'm doing this and boring you to death with 45 minutes of me just rolling paint. But I do want to show you guys process, my techniques, how I made this work and come out as well as it did. So what I'm doing here, kind of like I did on the transom where I showed you that first clip, put a little on, smooth it out, and then for your next roll, go about a roller length over and do your first pass there, and then back roll it to meet up with your previous line, and then go until you start seeing paint stop coming off the roller very at the same consistency as it was, and then go back and just kind of smooth out everything and touch everything up. Kind of went all the way down the boat like that. It just gets easier and easier. The more you do it, it's just kind of a fine line between keeping keeping the paint even. Really, that's what you want to do. Is you want to keep the same amount of paint from the back of the boat to the front of the boat. This clip I actually liked a lot because it really gives you an idea of how I was doing this, where you kind of do some and then back roll it, smooth it out, and then start your next line a little past it and back roll it, and then work till your paint stops coming off the roller, and then go back and smooth everything out real nice. And touch up the rub rail up there, just a little bit on that, and just a lot of that. 45 minutes to an hour of going around this whole boat. Just it's been about 4 hours. We're to come out here and I don't know, try and get a little critical on this. See if what I can pick out. A little bit of orange peel still, not bad. Like I said, it's been 4 hours, so it's starting to tighten up a little. Missed. There it is. Missed a pinhole there. We got one or two. Gosh, I don't even know if it's picking this up. One or two little runs right there in the bow. And try not to touch this thing. A little pinhole there, and where was it? A piece of hair came off the brush as well. But I mean, gosh, overall, like I said, I'm trying to be critical here. I'm trying to pick out imperfections for something I rolled on here 4 hours ago. Not a lot to be upset about. So, little midway update. It is tacked over to the point where you can touch it now. not coming off. It's skinned over. Definitely don't want to mess with it, break into anything. But yeah, about all I can do now is just stay away from it. Here's the 24-hour update before I do the final 400 grit sanding and the last coat. Just try and show how it has tightened up a bit, a little less orange peel. Overall, very happy. Cannot complain. Have I said that before? Yeah, I think I've said that a couple times. So yeah, 400 grit now. Rinse it off, wipe it down, do the final coat. See where we land. So I know it's part of the process, and it's what Alexseal recommends. Let me tell you, putting sandpaper on this really hurt my heart. Anyways, let me show you a couple things. I thought this was interesting. I knew on the transom I'd gone a little heavy on the paint, and it was actually when the paint was fresh, so there was more reducer in there. Look at these tiny little runs. Now that you sand it, you can see them pretty clear. Could not see that just looking at it, and you definitely, you can barely feel them. I mean, there's almost nothing there. It's just kind of cool how there's these tiny little runs. There was a big run here I saw, a real big one right there I was going to sand out. That one I knew about. But these I didn't see until I started sanding. So basically, started with the DA just on the big flat areas, knocked it down, and then I'm going back with the hand sander. It's got a little sanding sponge here and some 400 grit 3M paper, wrapped it around a little sanding sponge and just touching up the areas. Like, you don't want to put the machine on the corners or let it get into any of these dips. It'll chew right through that paint in about 5 seconds. You also do not want to wet sand this. Learn that the hard way. I started wet sanding, and it goes real smooth. It's faster, but it's cutting a lot faster than dry sanding, and you can't really see what you sanded because all the dust is gone. So nix that idea real quick. Hopefully I can cover that and it won't be an issue. Rest of the boat, hurts my heart. But we'll get everything touched up, up here along the rail where the rub rail is going to be, and up on the top of the transom. We'll do all that by hand so we don't burn through it all. Clean it up and ready for that final coat. Starboard side is hand sanded, and working our way around to the port side. You can clearly see the difference from just having the DA and what I've hand sanded here. Just, like I said, wrap some sandpaper around a block. I'm just catching all these shiny spots and making them dull. It's not a lot to it other than a little time, little energy, little air compressor and some fans to keep all the dust out. And Florida's doing Florida things right now, so I don't think I'm painting anyways. today, so might as well just take my time and get this done all the way down and make it look nice. So it worked out really well using the DA for the big flat parts and then coming back with the sponge and hand sanding the rest. The DA did a good job of opening up, the big areas, leaving tiny little, well, I'm not going to say ridges, but kind of broke into it for me, did the hard work. And then with the sanding sponge, I was able to just go over it and it would catch those little shiny edges and cut right into them real easy. And just would go one direction, turn, go a little bit the other direction, and then just kind of do circular motion over the rest to finish it off. Worked really well. I mean, it took, an hour or two, but I was happy with it overall. Only thing I did notice, I was blowing off a lot of dust. It was very humid that day, so it was kind of clogging up the paper almost as soon as I would start rubbing. But keep the air compressor handy and made pretty quick work of it overall. Next day, we are ready to get this last coat of paint on first. Another nice solvent wipe. Doing the same thing I did last time. 4 wipes on it. Make sure all this dust and paint residue is off. So first wipe. Gonna be really, really blue, really green. Second go around shouldn't have near as much. Try that one again. Third one's pretty much clean. And then one more for good measure. There you go, almost nothing on that, so that's good. We'll go around the whole boat and do that. Try and get up here on the rub rail too. Everything's wiped. Still looks pretty dang good. It's got the shine back on it a little bit, but anyways, it's clean, it's wiped again, it's wiped a third time. Everything mixed up. About to drop some reducer in there. That's been inducting for its 15 minutes. Go ahead and time lapse this. Let's get this last coat on. So this final coat was the same process as the first two, as far as getting some paint on the roller, starting a little bit forward of where I ended the time before, back rolling it to meet up with that same line, and then just doing 3 or 4 passes over until the paint stopped coming off the roller evenly. Main difference with this final coat was I did take a little extra time to really make sure everything was smoothed out and even, because I knew there was no more tries. This was it. So it was worth the little extra effort. A lot of side looks, staring down at, trying to make sure everything looked, evenly shiny and the paint was on the same thickness everywhere. And overall, I think it was worth the effort. So it's obviously a little tricky to record this whole process by myself, so I'm taking off time lapse and see if I can just give you guys a good idea of what I'm doing here on this last coat. So I'm starting about a roller width away from the end line. I'm back rolling it and then picking up the heavy stuff. Doing a little bit on the bottom here because it's hard to get that without flicking the roll down and hitting the trailer and getting dust all over everything. And then I'm just going, I get about 3 to 4 passes before the roller starts, leaving dry spots. See if I can show you one. Do one more just so you have an idea. You'll see here, hopefully this picks it up. You'll get patchy spots in it where you can tell there's no paint. And then if you noticed, up on the tops here, I'm putting little dabs of blue as I finish a roll, and that's just to kind of show what I've done and what I haven't, where I ended last time. And then going along the top here on the rub rail spot, and then putting a little dab on the tape there where I'm ending so I know where to go back to. And then I'm going back and kind of very lightly just evening this out, popping any bubbles that haven't popped yet, picking up any lines that may be in there. And any drips before they start to really form, you'll see them and you can pick them right up. If you feel like you're not leveling the paint at this point, you're actually picking it up and putting it back down, you may be getting too much on here, so just kind of knock a little off the roller. So at this point, you really don't want to be adding more material there. You want to be just smoothing it out. And then when you get to the end, try not to leave a hard line. So just kind of go halfway over your last line just to break up that hard line and kind of leave yourself a transition point for the next spot. And then you'll see as I've been doing this and walking down looking at this lip, because that's where you're going to get any drips are going to start. So if you get a look at it from the side, you can check any drips. I don't know if you noticed on the time lapse over on the other side, I had to pick a fly out of one. That's part of it. So anyways, I got paint all over my gloves here a little bit, so I'm going to set the camera back down and keep going. All right, hopefully you can hear this okay. It started raining again. We just beat it. and close the shop up. But this is the about 4-hour update. Just kind of walked away from it for a while. Came back out about an hour after when it got to the dust-free stage. And I pulled the tape off of it. It's kind of nice to see it without a blue stripe across the top. And like I said before, I am pleased. So about all I can do now is just same thing I do after every coat. Walk away for the day. Freaking mosquito. Well, I guess if that's the worst of it, I ain't gonna complain. Next morning, it turned out pretty sharp. Take a quick walk around. Did try to drag it outside, see it in the sunlight, but it wasn't, sun was pretty direct, and more Florida things on the way. So by this afternoon, when the sun's right ahead, overhead, I'm not gonna be able to get any good shots. So anyways, yeah, you can see down there, that was where all those grinder marks were. Yeah, it's 50-year-old boat. I wasn't expecting it to be, you know, glass flat all the way down that side. I could have spent, you know, another 2 weeks ferrying that side, but yeah, you kind of decide what you want. I'm happy with it. So to sum it up, am I happy with it? Absolutely. I think I've mentioned that once or twice over the course of this. Maya seems happy with it, so that's good. Stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't. I got me a little panel here. The piece that I took out of the center console. Went ahead and painted that while I was at it. So I'm going to stress test that. And well, at the end of that video, Alexseal is either gonna love me or hate me. So I'm gonna give it the 10 days to fully cure. And then I'm gonna go put it through its paces, see, you know, see what kind of scratch resistance and you know, chemical resistance, fish blood, sunscreen, Coke, beer, you name it. We're gonna throw it on that panel and see what we can do to it. So anyways, thank you as always for watching. And on to the next one. All right, bye guys.